Okay. Y'all know what it is today. We are getting into it right now on BPM, which is Black Power Media. If you're not tuned in, you best to get tuned in. Because this is no other than the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and let me introduce you to our host. We got no other than Burn It Down, Kim Brown. And the Black Avatar, Renee.
You know what? I ain't messing with you. I am not messing with you.
She got that 2G service over there.
Messing around. See, you can't be nice to people. You can't be nice to people.
No, you can't. You can't. Because they will reciprocate your niceness with jokery. And it's like, nigga, I'm doing you
clowning. Nothing but clowning. I'm trying to go to work.
Man, Renee came in when she had to be at her actual job. That is dedication,
That
Renee.
is.
Thank
Big up,
you.
Renee.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Yeah, so it's Ladies' Day today. I don't even know why I'm here, but nobody else is here to produce it. So,
well, there you go. So what? So if it's ladies, it's not worth your time, Ear Doctor.
No. Oh, see, I said I'll retract that right there. I am privileged and happy to be here to make sure I'm in service to you ladies.
Clean that up. Yo, everybody, welcome to the Remix Morning Show. KB, Renee, and Doctor. We think Jackie is going to be joining us, and hopefully we will get into yesterday's news. The news, Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, man, we went on a tangent yesterday. I mean, we had a whole long weekend. Sometimes we need to ease up into it. You know what I'm saying? We just want to get some thoughts off, and now today we got news.
Well, yeah, like we had a nice, relaxed day yesterday, and then came the fuckery, like almost immediately after the show went off.
What you talking about?
The RICO charges out there in
yeah,
Fulton County against the Cop City protesters.
And nobody should be surprised because this is the same state where they brought the teachers up on RICO charges because, they were whatever they accused them about with the student test scores, and they arrested them women and sent them to jail on RICO charges about freaking test scores, man. So listen, nobody should be surprised. And this is why Jackie, and I was like, that's right. She was like, y'all jumping up and down about this lady and Trump. And she done sent a whole lot of black people to jail. Can we get it together? And she was dead right.
Damn. I did forget about those teachers that went to jail. That was
It was wild.
Yeah, it was
wild.
Yeah, I mean, we cannot, y'all, and I know I don't think this audience does this, but I know we are in community and related to and in social groups sometimes with people who have these thoughts about, oh my God, Fron Willis, she gonna get Trump, Marilyn Mosby, she gonna get the killer cops. No, these people's jobs is to put us in jail, black people in jail. Notice who didn't go to jail in the murder of Freddie Gray. The police did not go to jail in the murder of Freddie Gray. Guess who probably not going to jail? Donald Trump. Guess who stands a very good chance of going to jail? Some of these Cop City activists, you know what I'm saying? But it is imperative that we try to do what we can to step up and put up support. I know that there's a call out for attorneys who have license to practice in Georgia because some of these folks need representation. So shit, like this is it's extremely serious what's happening down in Georgia, in Atlanta.
It's wild. Did you all I got a copy of the indictment. I haven't read it yet. It's in my it's on my computer. I'm trying to get my brain ready because I don't want to be aggravated because there's like 60 something people on that list.
61. Yeah.
It's unreal. And they done went all the way back talking about George Floyd. And so, this is something that they've been waiting and pulling together in hopes that they can find a way to use the state to attack these people that having the audacity to come forward and to stop something that they don't want to happen in their own community. It's unreal.
No, They're pulling out all the stops, man. They're trying to do this exact signature match to justify throwing out potentially a lot of the signatures that the organizers down there have collected to put the Cop City issue on the ballot. I think Kamau said not November, but maybe early next year, February, March, I think is what he said. I mean, if you want to see the state collude to go against the will of the people, man, we are watching that shit in real time.
In
Real
time.
time.
Man, this is like some gangster movie, man. These RICO charges everywhere. Everybody getting caught up.
I know we in it, dog. We in it. Like we not in it. I mean, but shit, Kamau was in it, but like we with Kamau, right? So I mean, shit.
It's people you know, boy, I tell you.
Look at the people you run with here, doctor.
You know what I'm saying?
Look at your friends.
I'm a peaceful sage burning type of dude. And you know.
That's the thing. A lot of them forest defenders are them granola crunchy niggas too. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Walking in the forest barefoot and shit. But that's the crazy thing. Like, you know, I haven't read the indictment either, Renee, and I've caught some snatches of it online. But, you know, for them to include 3 protesters who went out to Bartow County, Georgia, to pass out flyers in a neighborhood. They threw them in the indictment. They threw the folks who are in charge of the Atlanta Solidarity Fund, who is the bail support fund that has been assisting forest defenders and Cop City protesters to help them get bond. They threw them in there.
I mean, in the end, what this is really about, it's about the state making it very clear that if you have the audacity to organize and to step forward and to try and prevent us from doing anything that we want to do, whether or not it's in line with what you and the community wants to do, we are going to find every way possible to shut that shit down. The goal is to scare everybody, and the goal is to teach a lesson. They want everyone to look at what's happening in Atlanta, and they want them to say, shit, well, I don't really want to have to deal with all of that. I don't want to have to go through that. I don't want to have to deal with charges. I don't want to get, I don't want to get arrested. I don't want, that's what they're hoping for. And they want people to just back off because these cop cities are popping up everywhere. It's happening in Baltimore. I found out recently it's happening in Newark. It's happening outside of Portland. It's happening in Pittsburgh. This is the plan. They are trying to set all these all these facilities up so that they can make sure that any little bit of uprising that comes up from working people, from marginalized people, from the working class, all of these things, they want to be able to shut that shit down. So they have to have these things in place.
Speaking of popping up, Jackie Lookman.
Yeah.
Hey,
Jackie!
Good morning.
Is it Renee?
Yeah, the black avatar.
The Blavatar.
Black guitar.
What up, Kim?
Yeah.
Good morning. Oh,
How
look
you
at that
feeling?
hair.
Are you feeling better?
I was, to be honest, what made me sick yesterday was the news of the indictment. Like I couldn't even pull myself together to do my show because I was hurt. I mean, and maybe I'm too soft out here. I don't know. Like maybe I should toughen up, pull myself up by my bootstraps and, soldier on. But like I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. You know what I'm saying? When I heard about that indictment, because I mean, these are not people that are deserving of any charges. Let's be clear. They are exercising a lot of the times their constitutional rights, which we know niggas do not literally have constitutional rights. But it's like, if they can come from mutual aid groups, if they can come from people trying to protect the forest, like, am I special? Are we special? Absolutely fucking not.
We are not. We are not. Nope. And that's the whole point. That's the entire point. Excuse me while I prepare my coffee so I can be coherent this morning.
Long night, huh, Jackie?
I'm not gonna say that I was. I'm not even gonna feed in. You're not getting me today, sir. Nope. I'm not gonna say that I was upset. I wasn't surprised. Because if we have been paying attention to what the state in general and the states specifically have been doing with legislation in the wake of the 2020 uprising. It was too many, not just Black folks in the streets all across the country and in the world, but there was too much solidarity with too many white folks. And this country, as much as this country has a serious baked in hatred for us, they sincerely regret that they ever brought us here, although they're very glad that they can exploit us for our labor and got what they could get out of us. But they really wish they could have sent us back, and they tried very hard, and they were very angry that they couldn't do it. But they have always, if you pay attention to the history of labor struggles in this country, the maybe not the most intense, or maybe the second most intense, or the equally as intense repression that the state has used has been against solidarity, organized solidarity, interracial organizations, organizing between poor white folks and poor Black folks, working class and poor white folks and working class and poor Black folks and immigrants, Black folks and indigenous folks. You know, this state, if you look at the history, and then this is why I wasn't surprised. If you saw what was done to the African People's Socialist Party, I'm not sure why people were, and we saw what the states were doing with these anti-protest laws that they passed after 2020. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why people thought, and then the Fed is focusing on domestic terrorism. I don't know why people thought that these institutions would all of a sudden, for the first time in their history, turn those tools on white supremacists, when they have always used those tools against us and against anybody who is in solidarity with us. So while I read a little part of the indictment, because it was pretty late last night. I had to do dialysis and all this kind of stuff, and trying to organize stuff, and just a lot going on. The Congressional Black Caucus Conference, legislative conference, is the fourth next week of this month.
Yeah.
Them motherfuckers should not be allowed to sleep.
Ooh, yes.
The time for playing nice with these Black politicians is over. It's done. Tonight, there is a Maryland legislative conference at Bowie State University. Some BAP comrades are going to be there, handing out materials about Cop City, Baltimore. We have got to get organized. We have got to confront these people. We don't get no peace. They don't get no peace. That is how it has to be. But I don't see how we have, if we have been paying attention to what happened, what was done legislatively on both sides of the aisle after 2020. I don't know how people are surprised that we're at this point. It's you had to have seen something like this coming. You can't have believed that they were going to stop at the APSP. And all of that solidarity that was going on in the streets, all those white people in Portland, Oregon, you know damn well this system was like, nah, we can't have that. We cannot have white people, working class and poor white people, understanding that their struggle is tied in with the struggle of African folks in this country. And we cannot have any of these people in this country understanding that their struggles are tied into what this government, I'm speaking on their behalf, what we are doing to people who look like them around the world. Of course this was going to happen. Right. My question is, what y'all gonna do?
What you gonna do? Hey, remixes. In case y'all don't know, we got a hell of a show today. We're gonna remix it a little bit. Renee, how long we got you for?
I'm hoping that I can sneak into my office and nobody will notice I'm there until about 9 o'clock.
You're right.
I know.
Miss Johnson.
Well, listen, there's no kids in the building, but technically, I'm supposed to be doing something at 8:30. So I'm hoping if I just quietly go in the back door, and nobody will know I'm there, and I'll be able to roll until about 9 o'clock. That's the goal.
So you want to get into your story now, or you want to wait till like 8? 8:28, 8:35 or something.
If you need to do a break, go do your break because I'm still in the car, so I'm
We
good for right.
we
I'm good.
remixing it right now, so
Remix.
it's whatever.
Well,
Remix.
I shared the link because
Okay, so you ready to get into it?
I'm ready if y'all are ready.
Yeah,
All right,
man.
cool.
Look
We're
at
gonna get
Renee.
into a quick story, then we're gonna come back for a break. We want to make sure
Word.
Renee get this story in
That's
right
right.
here. So let me pull it up real quick and make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribers, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And we're gonna bring it to y'all today. All right, so let's pull this up right here. Renee, tell us what we are looking at.
So, and this was on the list of the stories that we were going to talk about, and I didn't follow the link that you sent, so I don't know if it was a police report or if it was just the family. So, as everyone knows, Takia Young was killed, shot to death in the parking lot of a Kroger's because she had been accused of stealing, I believe it was beer. She was 21 years old. She was towards the end of her pregnancy. She had 2 children at home. She was in her car when she was approached by the police.
Where did this happen, Renee?
This was in Ohio, and I don't remember the name of the town, so I don't want to lie, but
Okay,
I'm sure
okay.
the chat is usually very, very good at this. So somebody in the chat knows which town in Ohio it was. There were 2 officers in the parking lot already at the Kroger's because there was a customer who was having an issue with their automobile. They were already in the parking lot. Someone from the Kroger's came out and yelled that people were stealing and pointed out Takia as one of the people who had stolen something from the supermarket. That was the point in which the police decided they were going to approach her car. Now, I know as a Black person, if 2 white officers start yelling at my car, I'm not trying to do whatever it is that y'all are yelling about. I'm trying to figure out, can I find my phone? Can I call, whatever to make sure that I'm protected in that moment. What ensued was banging on the window, cursing, screaming, pulling of guns on someone who is simply trying to leave the parking lot. When they released the video, it was very, very clear that she said she didn't steal anything, that she didn't know what was going on, that she just wanted to go home. One of the officers decided to step in front of her car because that's what they do, even though it is against the policy of most police officers. You are not supposed to step in front of a vehicle. He intentionally stepped in front of the vehicle, and we all know that it's because he wanted to be able to later say, oh, I thought my life was in danger. She was going to run me over. And then he proceeded to shoot through the windshield, and he killed that young lady, executed her for what was supposed to be stolen beer, which, according to what I'm reading, she didn't actually even steal anything.
Of course not.
Of course not. And, the first officer is still suspended. I don't know if people realize that the second officer has already been returned to duty, even though he was the first one to approach the car. So I have been tweeting about this because this is what I do. And I came across a tweet from Nina Turner, who was like, the death penalty is this is not a response to shoplifting. What Twitter does now is it allows readers to add context. So someone added the context that it wasn't about shoplifting, it was because she ran a police officer over.
Fuck out of here.
Exactly. So I took the screenshot of it and I shared it. And I was like, look how easily y'all fall for this bullshit from the state. So, in response, this Black cop out of LA, who is a motivational speaker and who has a book and who supposedly has done all this work in LA, started to respond to me to let me know how wrong I was.
Can we name him so we know who this clown nigga is when we encounter him?
If you pull it back up, you can see because he is the tweet that I am sharing when I wrote this thread that I wrote about propaganda.
What's the name say, doctor? Oh, my bad.
Dion Joseph. It's Dion Joseph.
So he has a whole shitty website selling himself and yada yada, and all his awards that he's gotten, since 2015. That's the last year he has an award listed on his website. But he decided to come for me to tell me how uneducated I was and how much I didn't understand and how much I didn't know about policing and that I am wrong and that the car was her weapon and that she would, I mean, it was so outrageous. And I had initially blocked him, and then I remembered that this was going to be an opportunity for me to show people what propaganda looks like. So I unblocked him, and I let him know, I'm leaving you unblocked because I need people to understand what propaganda actually looks like. And then he tweeted out the dumb shit that he tweeted that you can see right there.
Read it.
And Jack, you have to read it because somebody read it because I'm
driving. So he says, no, the suspect escalated it by fleeing and trying to run over an officer. If a suspect runs or fights, it's human nature for officers to escalate. But I thought these motherfuckers were highly trained, though. But let me finish reading. Let me finish. Not just officers, civilians do it too, but we're not trained like the pigs are supposed to be trained. And many of them are justified in doing so. But see, I'm not going to step in front of somebody's car.
Okay.
Getting home safe is a two-way street. Yeah, not really. Not if I intentionally step in front of your car. So, of course, if an officer is trying to stop you from fleeing, they are going to be in a heightened state. This is amazing that he said this.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean?
Cops are reactionary. This is one of those examples when people use a word they don't realize they are telling the absolute motherfucking truth.
Telling on themselves
what cops are. Reactionary is just the reason we call people reactionaries is because their response to any kind of progress is a violent reaction to stop that progress. That's what a reactionary is. So he is absolutely telling the truth about the cops. They are reactionary, violent agents of the state. He said, if you run after committing or being suspected with reasonable suspicion, of course, what does that mean with reasonable suspicion? The woman is sitting in her car. She says she doesn't know what's going on. Did they see anything in her car? So why is her suspicion still reasonable that she committed a crime? Why? Of a crime, we will chase you. If you fight, we will fight back. If you shoot at us, we shoot back. If you try to run us over, we shoot back. So what's the solution? How about folks not doing those things? How about you not try to assault somebody in a grocery store parking lot for being suspected of petty fucking theft? How about that? How about you not step in front of someone's car when they're in their car trying to leave, trying to go home, just so you can have the excuse to shoot them and their unborn child dead? Let's not forget that, because this is the pregnant sister, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the baby died also.
Yes, the baby also died.
So there should be 2 counts of murder that this cop will eventually, hopefully, face. Because isn't Ohio one of those big, the heartbeat laws? You know what I mean?
Well, that don't apply to us. That does not apply to us when the cops kill us. No, that doesn't apply to us. No. Now, if another Black person killed her and her baby died as a result, oh yeah, all those charges would come in for the unborn child. But the cop, no, don't expect it.
And this is the problem. So, and I'm glad that you were able to pull up the whole thing, because I was having a problem seeing the entire tweet. But what I really wanted to point out to people was how absurd this entire thing was. And this was one of the last things that he sent to me. This was not the first thing that he sent to me. He sent so many tweets about how ridiculous people are and what do we expect to happen. Yeah, and this is somebody who literally sells himself as a cop who doesn't use his gun and who tries to help the community without force. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. So I really wanted to bring this out and point it out, because this is, when Dhoruba says, stop calling them police, you need to call them armed agents of the state.
Mhm.
100% correct, because that's what they are. They don't care about people. They don't care about babies. They don't even care about the damn bear. All they cared about was that they told this black woman to do something, and she had the audacity to not do exactly what they told her to do the instantaneous minute that they told her to do it. That's what this is about. It is about control. It is about power. And honestly, it's about the fact that they're just assholes, right? And the reason she did what she did, the reason she didn't roll her window down, the reason she didn't get out of the car, the reason she was trying to get away was because she was trying to fucking live. That's the part of it that I'm like, y'all act like she was wrong. She clearly wasn't wrong, because look at what the fuck happened.
Mhm.
All of this was because she wanted to live, because she wanted to get home to her two other babies. That's how all of this happened. And in the end, anybody who skips the fact that two armed white men approached this woman's car, yelling and screaming, pulled out their guns. They had no idea what actually happened. They weren't called to the scene. And it's not like there was a 911 call and they were called to the scene that they have that as an excuse, right? Somebody just came out the door and started screaming. Like, anybody could come out the door and say some dumb shit. You actually did all of this. You approached a woman in her car who was leaving a grocery store. And then people are like, well, she was fleeing. What the hell else do you do when you leave a grocery store but fucking get in your car and drive?
Leave.
It's absurd. Like, the whole thing is absurd. And if you skip that part of it, that none of this had to escalate in this way. None of this had to escalate in this way. They could have done all of this in a different way and she would have driven home. They could have let her leave and took her license plate. I mean, there's so many alternate things that could have happened and she would still be here. And I'm sick of these cops, armed agents of the state. I'm sick of the white people who come on to tell me, "Oh, she should have complied." Like,
Shut
I'm
the
sick,
fuck up.
for reals. I mean, Kim, I know you're not on Twitter. If you could see my Twitter feed with this
It's
shit,
ridiculous.
it's I mean, it's absurd. It's
Mhm.
absurd. And I finally stopped and did what I did with the thread, because I wanted people to understand that this is what the media does. This is what cops do. This is how they all work together as agents of the state, whether they're armed or not, to sell a story about criminality so people blame the person who just got killed.
Killed. Yeah.
Right? That man, in all the tweets, if you go through them all, he never names her once. Not one time does he say her name. And then when you tell him you're dehumanizing this person, he says, "No, I'm not. You're using her for whatever thing you're trying to do to." I think he told me I was trying to get like social justice points or some shit. I'm like, how about the woman has a name? How about you use the term suspect as if somebody called 911 and she was out in somebody's backyard lurking around? The woman was leaving the parking lot of a grocery store, literally doing what everybody does every time they leave a supermarket. They get in their car and they drive off.
Mhm.
And this happens everywhere to black people. This is what I try to explain to white people. I'm like, this shit doesn't happen to white people. It doesn't. Are white people the recipients of occasional police brutality and violence? Yeah, they are. But does this shit happen to white people? Do white women, pregnant white women, get shot while behind the wheel of their minivan trying to exit a scene while police are trying to accost them and accuse them of stealing? And the over the weekend, I was listening to local radio and I heard on the Radio 1 stations, Kathy Hughes talk about how black people are boycotting Florida, how the Alphas took their convention out of Florida. Stevie Wonder won't perform in Florida. We need to withhold our dollars from Florida. Show me the difference between fucking Florida and Ohio. Show me the difference between Ohio and Maryland. Show me the difference between Maryland and California. Like, black people are experiencing this same kind of violence across this country. So to single out any particular state as being worse than the other is absurd. And as looking at Ohio, who all the folks that we can think of that have been murdered in Ohio, John Crawford, Tamir Rice, the young man who was a rideshare driver and who ran for his life, and they shot him what, 60 times, 90 times. The young man who the Columbus cop is now finally being charged with murder or some sort of criminal action for murdering this young person in his bed. He was asleep. Like this is what we are dealing with. And thank you, Renee, for calling out coon ass fucking black cops for feeding in to continue to perpetuate this myth, this narrative, and for upholding this system. Like for this person, this cop, to repeatedly call this young woman a suspect. It's like, so any engagement with the cops, if the cops all of a sudden deem you suspicious, am I a suspect? Does that render me inherently with some sort of criminality? And even if she did steal, what the fuck did she take that is worth her life? Nothing. Not a single thing in that fucking grocery store was worth this young woman's life or the life of her child.
So,
I was just coming in for. You want to say something else, Jackie, before we do a mental health break?
So real quick, I want to say this. I want us to be careful that we do not distill this down to just a racial issue, because it's not.
Correct.
Because indigenous people get the same treatment.
Non-white folks. White folks don't get this, Jackie.
Actually, some do, because this is also a class issue. Not as much. Now it's true that there are not as many of these kinds of incidents with poor white people as with black folks of whatever, quote unquote class. But this is not strictly and only a racial issue. This is also a class issue, because the police also hate poor white folks. And
do.
If you live in small towns in some of these in some of these small towns in this country, you will hear stories of the local police treating poor white folks like shit too.
Yeah.
Nah,
now,
I gotta disagree, because I'm telling you, what happened to
on.
that elder in Atlanta? I'm sorry, I don't hear about 62-year-old unarmed white men getting
I'll
tased to death.
I'll say, Kim, there's an excuse. There's a reason for that. They don't want you to know.
They don't want you to know that it also happens to poor white people. They don't
want you to know.
It's the same reason that you don't hear about the indigenous people who are assaulted and murdered by police at a higher percentage according to their population than we are, because they don't want you to know. Yeah. They don't. And again, this goes back to the state, the nature of the state not wanting these different groups of people to have solidarity on any issue, because this should be the one issue that we could easily have solidarity on if we understood the class character and the nature of policing. They don't just hate black folks. The police exist to protect property and the state. And anyone, white, black, poor, and if you just happen to be rich or middle class who has some solidarity with the poor, as we've seen in this indictment, who are willing to express that solidarity with working class and poor folks against the state, then you're a target too. So I just want us to be careful that this isn't just the pigs hate black folks. They do, but they also hate anyone that they see as a threat to the state and property.
Yeah, the issue is statistics. Sorry, doctor, just real quick, because I got to walk into the building.
Yeah, I was going to give you your chance.
So the problem is, statistically, we should not die at the rate that we die at, which is why that's why it's so absurd. And so when people always come back to me and say, oh, well, cops kill more white people, and I'm like, yeah, but y'all are the majority of the population, dude. Like, that's like, if you look just based on statistics, it should not be that black people are dying at a higher rate. And that's why it looks so absurd when you're looking at it from the outside, is because it should not be this way. We do not make up enough of the population to die at the rate that we die at the hands of the police. That's why it's a problem. But if you really look overall at the numbers, poor white people be in trouble, right? But nobody talks about that. And they don't talk about it, as Jackie said, intentionally, because they don't want any opportunity for white people to be like, well, that's weird. Like that same thing happened down the street. So what's going on? Is really not just them, because my cousin wasn't a criminal and the cops did that to them too. So, it really is about keeping us separate. And this is why I always have this fight with people. You cannot separate race and class. You got to fight both at the same time, or nobody's going to win. It's never going to happen. It's not possible.
All
so
right.
there's 100 people walking in the building. So I am going to jump off.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to take a mental health break. Let Renee go from outside to inside. And we're
Bye,
going to
y'all. Thanks for letting me jump on.
No doubt. Come back with some more news right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I am the Ear Doctor, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. We do this every day, Tuesday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And go to patreon.com and drop some change on Black Power Media so you can see some extra content and become a member over there. All right. With that said, we're going to get into a quick artist spotlight. And make sure y'all breathe out there. Breathe in, breathe out. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and we're going to get into a lot of news today, so it's a lot of breathing you're going to need to do for this one. All right, so with that said, let's talk about no other than Fishbone. Yes, we're going to talk about Fishbone. Now, Fishbone is a rock band coming out of Los Angeles. They formed in around 1979, and they're known for playing like ska, punk, funk, metal, reggae, soul. I mean, they play it all pretty much. They're looked at as an alternative rock band, and they deal with self-consciousness, diversity, goofy sense of humor, sharp social commentary, and they have like a cult following, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't know, but the people that know, you know? So they got started, like I said, back in Los Angeles, and they got a big band. So many people came and went in and out of the band, more people in a trap house, in and out. I mean, they had so many different people coming in and out of the band, but they've been performing for a decent amount of time, to the point where in 2023, they just released another self-titled album, Fishbone. Right now, they have around 5 different albums, 4 live albums, some compilation albums, but with the whole group, like I said, they got to travel around with Red Hot Chili Peppers, a bunch of different alternative rock groups. So they got known through that. One of their biggest singles is Party at Ground Zero. And it's a pretty big hit for them. And like I said, they've been on Saturday Night Live, so they're pretty much known. So if you don't know about Fishbone, you want to hear some black rock, then I suggest you go check them out. This track behind me is called Mama and Papa. All right, with that said, let's get back to no other than the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. Let's go.
I'm doing it the wrong way. Mom hates Paul hates Mom. Little sister say, what did I say?
Yeah.
Mom and Pa, what the hell is wrong with y'all?
Oh, get it.
Mom and Pa, what the hell is wrong with y'all?
Okay, look at you, Jack. Say, hey, I wanted to make sure we got some black rock, we got go-go, we got hip-hop, we got it all right here.
Thank you so much for that. That's
no doubt.
Fantastic. I love Fishbone.
Tell us what I didn't tell you about Fishbone.
Angelo, the lead singer, is the son of, I think his parents are Jehovah's Witnesses. Very, very religious people. So they had a lot of conflict when he was growing up. They started Fishbone when they were teenagers. So, his parents were like, it's the devil. It's the devil. And so there was a lot of conflict with his parents. And the great thing about growing up a punk in DC is that the scene was pretty small and you got to meet a lot of these people. So we got to hang out with Angelo and the dude. So we heard a lot of stories and a couple of the band members dealt with, but Angelo has a fantastic relationship with his parents now. They're you know, they're very proud of him. They love him and all that kind of good stuff. A couple of the band members dealt with mental health issues,
Yeah.
which is not unusual in general. But when you are an artistic person and you are non-traditional artistically, and you're in your artistic expression is consumed by a mostly white audience, you're not always accepted at first, and there's always that kind of tension that you have to deal with. So yeah, there was that. What didn't you say?
I say more.
Their probably commercial breakthrough album. I don't know why I can't remember the name of it right now, but it has a song on it called Everyday Sunshine, which is like there is a part of the song that is straight out of a gospel choir. And it is punk, it is R&B, it's ska, and there's some gospel stuck in there, and it's one of the most brilliant songs that it's inspiring, it's great. And yeah, so yeah, that's I can't think of anything else.
I have one more thing to add about Fishbone. I did not know much about the band, but I was perusing the Fillmore Silver Springs upcoming lineup. And to my surprise, guess who is going to be playing the Fillmore in the coming weeks? Not just Fishbone, but the Jizza with Fishbone.
What?
And it's called the Truth and Swords Tour. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, I need to make sure I get this gel injection in this knee and stock up on my stock up on.
I almost sent it in the group chat because I was about to be like, Jackie, Jared, anybody down for a little woo and Fishbone? Anybody?
Wow.
Anybody?
That's
Oh
wild.
my gosh, that's
So that's what it is. That's our artist spotlight today on Fishbone. I know we got a lot. Jackie, you able to pull up stories?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, I will get out of y'all hair, and I will catch you on the next break. Peace.
Cool.
Thank you, Air Doctor. I mean, should we slap the map or we just freestyling with this remix since we done remixed the show?
I guess we should slap the map since people are, they're into that kind of thing. So let's do it.
Welcome, everybody. It's the Remix Morning Show on this good Wednesday, September 6th. You see Jacqueline Lukman standing by there. My name is Kim. We've got the Ear Doctor. Peace to the good sis Renee Johnston for coming through on the early side of things. Remixers, thank you all for coming through. As usual, y'all keep showing up and showing out for, dare I say, the best morning show on YouTube. Actually, the best morning show broadcast to be available anywhere. The radio, cable, pick one, streaming services. There's not a morning show that is fucking with this one, but I think you all already know that. So thank you all so much. Please don't forget to give the video thumbs up, like, engage, share, subscribe. Consider. I can't say consider. Kamal said, don't say consider. I'm going to run y'all pockets. Hey, y'all need to hurry up, become patrons. Y'all already bullshitting on becoming patrons. Patreon. That's right. Run the buck. Don't make Revolutionary Debo come up on here and turn out y'all pockets. Patreon.com/Black Power Media. You can also cash app the channel directly. $ Black Power Media. Jackie, I know we've got a lot to get into. We've already got into some things. So where should we go next?
Yes, so let's talk a little bit about this indictment. I know we started the show with it, but you know what? I thought we were going to have someone on this morning to help us pick through this, and let me make sure that person can get on here. Hold on just a moment.
Yeah, because
While
the way Georgia operates, it requires a little bit more explanation for me. I mean, knowing the what we know, the same grand jury that was selected or seated to vote on RICO charges for Trump and his cronies is the same grand jury that voted on this shit.
The exact
Right?
same grand jury, which means it's the exact same prosecutor, district attorney, whatever. So for years we black radicals, and let me just start by saying I love the term radical. I don't know why people, because I don't think I think it's misplaced, but since it scares people so much, yes, I am a radical. I want you to be scared of me, because I fighting for equality and justice and a just society for all people. If people think that is radical and scary, then maybe you shouldn't be in that society. This is why I probably should not be the one who is in charge of anything in that new society, because of my particular predilection towards certain activities, towards certain people. But we radicals have been telling people for years that there's no such thing as a progressive prosecutor. And if Larry Krasner in Philadelphia didn't disabuse people of that idea, Fannie Willis ought to make it clear that there's no such thing as a progressive prosecutor. They're all prosecutors. They're all pigs. They are not for the people.
Jackie,
Sir?
speaking of radical, let's bring up Ricky Riot.
Hey.
All right. Can we? Oh shit! She's illuminated. Let's go.
I don't know if the mic is on. Is it on?
Yes, it is.
With a microphone.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think
Is
it's
it?
on.
Oh no, that one's not on.
So go in your settings and see if you see the mic, if it's listed under your audio. So go in your settings and then hit audio.
No pre-production.
Be quiet, Charlie.
Just come on and get it in the middle of the show.
Be quiet, Charlie.
Don't worry. We got time.
Charlie, this is People's Radio.
I mean, are you helping, Ear Doctor, or are you peanut gallery in this situation? So Ricky, under your settings, under your audio, you should see the microphone named. I don't know what the name of it is, but when you see it, you should select it. So it would be under a drop down. You probably see default, and it'll say computer audio, but you want whatever the microphone is named.
Yeah, and it should be that looks like a Yeti.
Ooh, you got a Yeti.
Oh, see.
Hey, Doctor, see, nobody look at this peanut gallery ass shit.
Leave my mare alone. Stop this. Okay, that's pretty funny.
Knock it off. Knock it off, Doctor. You're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Well, I don't know. Unless you can restart your computer, which we don't have time to do, you may not be able to. So let's just go with the computer audio today.
Yeah.
And now we can't hear you at all.
How about you get off screen and reboot and come back?
That is the worst voice of God on
It
earth.
is the worst voice. If that were the voice of God, I would be like, I'll take you serious, Lord. You clowning, Jesus.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
you are not the Lord.
Yeah, Doctor, you are something else. Let's give Ricky a couple moments to return, because I know she's ready to drop some gems on it. But set it up for us, Jacqueline.
Yeah. So I'm looking at now. I have not read the entire indictment because, like I said, I just have not had time to. But the New York Times actually quotes Kamau all the way at the end, like they do, where they talk about the indictment. Excuse me. I'm going to scroll down. Oh, so this is the Attorney General Christopher Carr of Georgia. He says, looking the other way when violence occurs is not an option in Georgia. Really? Because y'all look the other way when the pigs killed Tortuguita.
Okay.
Completely looked the other way when the autopsy revealed that he didn't have a gun, no gunshot residue on his hands, had his hands up, and was even shot in the back.
Where's the body cam footage from that they claim that they
right, and the pigs shot each other. as they were shooting. Yeah, so this is what he said when he announced the indictment. If you come to our state and shoot at a police officer, and shoot a police officer, again, they shot themselves, throw Molotov cocktails at law enforcement. I mean, I'm not mad. Set fire to police vehicles, y'all got insurance. Damage construction equipment, they also got insurance. Vandalize private homes and businesses. When did that happen?
That didn't happen in fucking Georgia, you
It didn't
asshole.
happen. It didn't happen.
No,
Flat out
it did
lie.
happen. It did happen in Alabama, but it didn't happen in Georgia.
And terrorize their occupants. You can and will be held accountable. So that's what he said. The American civil liberties are, protesting this thing. They said we are extremely concerned by this breathtakingly broad and unprecedented use of state terrorism, anti-racketeering, and money laundering laws against protesters. This is a statement from the representative of the American Civil Liberties Union. And this is what I wanted to get to: the RICO indictment. In the RICO indictment, prosecutors traced the roots of the campaign back to almost a year before city officials announced the leasing of the land to build the training center. They traced it back to May 25th, 2020, the day George Floyd, a Black man, was killed by a Minneapolis police officer, touching off demonstrations across the country, including some in Atlanta. Those tensions only intensified after Rayshard Brooks, a 27-year-old Black man, was fatally shot by the Atlanta police outside a fast food restaurant.
In his back while he was running away.
Right. Anti-government anarchists in Atlanta recognized an opportunity to rally against the law enforcement.
What?
Understand what they're saying. They have just completely dismissed that. Now, the Attorney General just said, if you shoot at a police officer, you'll be held accountable. If you terrorize people, you'll be held accountable. But in this RICO indictment, they completely dismissed the public execution of Black men by law enforcement and have now criminalized the response to those public executions as domestic terrorism, which in effect criminalizes the Black men who were killed by the police. So we can't be angry and respond to the state for extrajudicial murders of our people, or else, and if we do, we are engaging in a racketeer-influenced corrupt operation. That's what these people are saying. Prosecutors described the movement to interfere with the construction called Defend the Atlanta Forest as broad, decentralized, and autonomous. But in the indictment, prosecutors claimed that it had evolved into a broader anti-government, anti-police, and anti-corporate extremist organization. Remember when we talked about all those pieces of legislation that were passed supposedly to address domestic terrorism, and people were sitting online talking about, well, now the federal government is finally going to go after the white supremacists. Why did you think that? Why did you think that? That when that happened one time in this country's history, when the FBI kind of couldn't help but finally do something about the Klan because they were literally killing too many Black folks for them to keep ignoring it. So Ricky's back. And child, let me go to the end of this article. Prosecutors relied on RICO because it enables them to stitch together seemingly disparate accusations and an array of people linked by their association to a criminal conspiracy or enterprise. If the Constitution of this United States says that we have a right to protest and redress our government, how does that then become a criminal conspiracy? Unless, of course, the Constitution doesn't apply to certain people, and it never has.
Yes.
Right.
All that
At
part.
the end, all the way at the end, they quote Kamau and says, when he says, "This is meant to send a message," said Kamau Franklin, an organizer for Stop Cop City. And he ended with, "Be scared."
Right.
Shit.
So to answer your question, Kim, if they in Atlanta, if the so-called progressive prosecutor Fannie Willis could do this, because this was not something she was not involved in. Same grand jury that that indicted Trump handed down these indictments. None of us are safe. But the point is that none of us have ever been safe.
Right.
So, Ricky.
Yeah. Is it better? I don't know. I can't
Oh
tell.
yes. Oh
Fantastic.
yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
Right. Well, shout out to Kim because, I always say bullying and shaming works. So I got my light and my mic. But no, that indictment, I've been telling folks to study that indictment, but I've been telling folks to study it the same way I tell folks to read the manifestos, um, study all these indictments, particularly because we want to be informed around the language that's being used. So that way, when we are speaking to people, we know exactly what we're speaking to and about. What I do think has happened as a result of telling people, read the indictment, people have seen the way that they have redefined certain terms like collectivism and anarchism, even. They made anarchism very broad. um, Even mutual aid, they're defining it in such a way that it's making folks nervous about organizing or how to organize. So there's now conversations, I think, sort of misguided conversations around security and what does it mean to be secure? Because if we read the indictment, they've been tracking folks for years. So I feel like to abruptly attempt an about face at this moment is counterproductive. And it's working out of fear. And we don't want to put ourselves in a position as organizers to organize out of fear or to organize in reaction to what the state is doing, because the state is always doing something. Especially when we have not built a mass base yet. We're still organizing to build a base that can, combat that reactionary tendencies of the state. So we don't want people to be scared, but we do want people strategically to be aware of the language that's being used, because we know what mutual aid is. We know what collectivism is. So the state's ability to redefine those terms impacts the way that we are able to organize. So we want to be able to say, look at what the state is saying about mutual aid, and you see us out here every day. Is this what we're doing? You see us doing this? Like, that's the way that we want to engage community, not pull all the way back because we don't know what's going to happen down the line. And then these RICO charges are not something that are new, quote unquote, to the movement. I mean, from Marcus Garvey to Martin Luther King to the Black Panthers, they have always used tax evasion or tax fraud or something that has to do with that sort of criminality of like what is it, like organized mob work or escaping, because they can't attack our actual organizing. So they are trying to find ways around that. So people have to be acutely aware of that and be prepared. And I think I want to recommend Safari Bakari's chapter in The War Before on security, because I think that really helps us understand the ways that we think that we're securing ourselves by cutting ourselves off from the people because we don't know who to trust, when we are just blatantly giving all our stuff away every other day. All our information is everywhere. But when it comes to interacting within the movement, we're like, I don't know if I should tell you this or tell you that. So I think there's ways that Safari Bakari really speaks to the ways that we really should and can address security, because that this is the message. The message is to be scared. And as Renee noted, Cop City, they're looking to build one miles up the road from the one they're already building in Atlanta. So they're trying to put more than one in Atlanta. And Charlotte has already approved. And Renee talked about Newark and Portland. And we are now working around strategizing how to stop it here in Baltimore. So this is something that is going to continuously pop up. I think I noted the last time I was here that I think this has always been a plan of action, and what 2020 did was halt it to some degree. And you could see, as they're noting, 2020 being an integral moment for all of these organizations and organizers, that really put a dent in their plans. So they are now trying to move forward with whatever they were doing before 2020. And that's evident in marking 2020 as the beginning of this like, corporate. Well, I don't really know what they're trying to call it. They're trying, well, what the RICO charges is like the mob sort of language around it, but they are trying to make it like this is something that has been this organized thing that sprouted up because of the uprising to be an anti-state, anti-government issue. But the leader of the Proud Boys, that African or part African, now got
Enrique Tarrio.
Yeah, the longest of all of them, the longest sentence of all of them. But then also, that wasn't domestic terrorism.
How about that?
Right. And that's a great point. I'm glad you brought up Enrique Tarrio, Ricky, because, and I'm not sure if the same judge sentenced Tarrio is sentenced the other two who were sentenced last week, but the prosecutors asked for more time for the other two, Pizzola and whatever the other one's name is. And the judge said that sentencing them to more time than the other defendants had been sentenced to would not serve any, would be unfair. But then here comes Enrique Tarrio and gets sentenced. So they get sentenced. The other two, the two white guys, get sentenced to like 15 and 16 years, I think, in prison, something like that. But then Tarrio gets sentenced to 22. And this is not a a cry, oh, Tarrio was a free Enrique Tarrio. No, that's not what the point is. Even in dealing with actual domestic terrorists, the black descended folks, if you they go so he couldn't even use the cover of nationalist extremism that propelled him to the leadership of the Proud Boys to protect him from this white supremacist carceral state, because he got more time and he wasn't even there. He wasn't there.
He wasn't even
more
down.
time than the mugs that was there. Now, again, this is not like, oh, the system was unfair to Enrique Tarrio. I mean, but come on, the contradictions are glaring.
I mean, the system was unfair to him, but we won't shed no tears for Enrique. You sit there and you do that whole 22, where you do 80% of that 22, whatever the federal time is. But I mean, when we compare the actions of what happened on January 6th to what these folks in Fulton County have been charged with, comparatively speaking, in this RICO indictment, all I heard was, for one, a lie about police being shot. Okay, who shot the police? Has that person been named? Have they been charged? Nope. You know why? Because it was the police that shot themselves, as Jackie pointed out. But the state's attorney can get up there and spew that as fact. Did the New York Times fact check that shit, Jackie, or they just let it stand as fact, as whatever the elected official said? They didn't even question it, challenge it, anything. What officer was shot? When was he shot? Who shot him? But aside from that, all I heard was a bunch of destruction of property, vandalism. Like, you have to tell me how this rises to a racketeering conspiracy. Even if the people did those actions, which I know some of them did, but none of that. Those are already individualized crimes that if you wanted to, you could charge somebody with vandalism. You could charge somebody with destruction of property. How is this a mass conspiracy amongst folks? But those are also included in the RICO, include 3 protesters who went out to the exoburbs of Atlanta and flyered a neighborhood, making the neighborhood aware that a murderous pig lived in their proximity. That is supposed to be constitutionally protected speech. Tell me how these folks are included in this. How is the organizer of the Atlanta Solidarity Fund included in this for money law? I mean, like they are reaching, but I guess it's not a hard reach when you run all the apparatuses of power and you can charge people arbitrarily in any ways that you want.
Yeah, and there's no real opposition to it. I always remark that my mother watches MSNBC faithfully. Fannie Williams is a big hit. She's a star on there. But I've always been reminding her, well, one, the state of Georgia slaps, they just throw RICO charges around at this point, right? Anybody can get a RICO. We've seen that from the Black teachers to what's happening with the rappers right now, and then obviously the big spectacle around Trump. But the pendulum swings both ways, and it usually swings to the left much harder than it ever swings to the right. So we can go on, and this is not to say that she's directly connected, but the praise of Fannie Williams and the praise of the Georgia state courts because of the spectacle around Trump has disallowed people to even understand. They have yet to report on MSNBC that 61 people have been charged with RICO, because they would also have to answer, why are 61 protesters being charged with RICO? Because there's a lot going on in that state. So that what they're doing is fixating on Trump and the spectacle, because one, that's ratings equal money, that's profit. We see how this game is played, but also they don't actually ever have to directly answer any questions. They've never really talked about what's happening at Stop Cop City, except to point out when the incident happened with allegedly the anarchists burned down some vehicles or whatever. That was on the news. You see that burning truck nonstop. And that was the only bit of information. They have yet to say anything since. And that was even after the Atlanta Bail Fund arrest, where they even finally got one of the King children to say something because of that arrest. But even now, it's mostly quiet on the news front, especially on the mainstream news front. So people are not even aware. But at the same time, they're still praising these prosecutors and the state of Georgia, the way that they're handling Trump, because they're not letting Trump go for any nonsense. And they're creating this sort of normalization of like these state-sanctioned apparatuses and ways to handle certain situations. Because, there's a lot of arguments to be made for the RICO case that Trump is facing, because it's as indiscriminate as the one that we're just being slapped with. What we're seeing with the protesters, they're really grasping at a lot of straws to make something stick, which is why I think that they went out of their way to expand it to 61 protesters when initially it was only going to be a focus on the Atlanta Bail Fund.
Yeah, and if people are not clear at this point that the people who are always screaming and yelling about law and order and the Constitution this and the Constitution that, if people are not clear at this point from this, that piece of paper means nothing. The Constitution means absolutely nothing. And all of these people who presented these cases to this grand jury knew damn well that these charges are bullshit. They know that there is no criminal conspiracy. They know that this is protected speech under the so-called Constitution. They know that they know it's all bullshit, and they're doing this anyway. So they are wiping their feet on their precious Constitution. So I really would like us to stop thinking that piece of paper has any relevance whatsoever to what goes on in this country, because these people show us over and over again that piece of paper matters when they want it to, when it relates to them, and any other time it's irrelevant. So it just stop thinking you have rights under this Constitution. You don't.
One of the tweets that I saw yesterday came from the ARC Southeast, Access Reproductive Care Southeast. We've had some of their folks join us here on the morning show, and they expressed a lot of concern regarding how the mutual aid organizations were referenced to in this indictment, and rightfully so, because if if we're donating money to our folks to legitimately help folks, for example, the work that the ARC Southeast does into helping pregnant folks access abortion services, right? Like, what's to stop Fulton County, Fawn Willis, and them from charging these kind of mutual aid groups from assisting people in so-called illegal activity? I mean, but it's healthcare, right? But I mean, this is a big slippery slope. Not to say that we're at the top of the slippery slope. We're probably way at the bottom, but there's a lot further to fall, right?
Yeah. Which is why I said, like, this is not something that we haven't seen before, which I think is important to like really go back and investigate these movements and investigate these sort of charges, because they have always used, like I said, the tax evasion or something with money or dealing with money. I think right now the question becomes like the crowdsourcing and the crowdfunding that we do, even for delegations, right? That could come up as a thing because that would be considered mutual aid. So I think this does put us, for alarm, but I do think it does cause it to question how do we actually deal with security where we're not accusing each other of being federal agents and ops and being messy in that way, but also understanding what it means to create a secure mass base of people that can oppose the state. But I think it's really a mess, and it really has put a lot of people just in the last 24 hours on edge. And then we also have to consider that even 2020, coming out of 2020, there's a lot of still very green organizers that have joined the movement that are not really prepared to deal with the state in that way, right? So when you hear things like mutual aid getting attacked for people who are doing mutual aid work, they're not really trying to get too involved in things that really contend too much with the state, but they can also get swept up in it. This really puts people at alarm where they're like, maybe I just don't even need to do that. Or maybe we can just pull away and do something else. Like now people are reconsidering a lot. And that's just been happening in the last 24 hours where we're really trying to get, shake people like, whoa, wait, we're good.
Right.
Strategically, we could do something else, but I don't think that should be where we go. But that, again, that's the purpose of it, to make people scared. And we do have a lot of youth and a lot of very green organizers who only really seemingly understand COINTELPRO, but think they have like the grasp of it and think that they are within the midst of it because of these things happening. So they're really on alarm. And I do want to just because today I had to talk a few people off the ledge at 6:30 this morning. So because they're that shook about the possibilities, because if we're talking about a cop city coming to Baltimore, then what does organizing in Baltimore then become if 61 people can get indicted under RICO? So that is the questions that we're thinking through. But I think as we think through these questions about what does organizing look like when we know we have state repression, because we've always had state repression. And I think if we paid more attention to, like you said, what's happening with Uhuru and Amali right now, people would have been better prepared for at least dealing with hearing 61 people have been charged with have been swept under RICO, because you have already been prepared to at least see what the indictment of Omali and the Uhuru members looks like, because that indictment, I think, is more damning,
right?
Especially the work that you and I do, Jackie, than this one if you read it. But I think this indictment is more broad, so it does cause people to become more anxious, which is the intent. But we can't organize in fear.
Well, thank you for your perspectives and work on this topic.
You didn't even let us try an intro to. You just can't barged in.
Yeah, your transition game ain't.
I was gonna say, and you know who doesn't move in fear? Well, I'm not gonna say it now.
he tried to dip out and tell you, I'm gonna leave and come back. Go ahead, Jackie.
I mean, she was doing shit. All right, Jackie, my bad. Next time I'll let you do the transition. I know y'all be forgetting about me sometimes when y'all get in talking. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we're going to come back with some more. We got more news. We got more topics, right?
I think so.
Come on, let's get it. Well, we right here on the Remix Morning Show, so stay tuned, y'all. Let's go. know we keep it thorough over here, in case you didn't know. All right, with that said, we're going to go ahead and hit that like button, and new subscribers, subscribe. Hit that button, too. And go to patreon.com, drop some chains in the bucket right here on Black Power Media and get some content that's not here. All right, with that said, I want to give a quick artist spotlight, somebody new that is on the scene. Might not be too new, but he's going to be new to y'all. Goes by the name of Danique and Ashay Karan. That's right. So check out this bop right here. Let me know what y'all think about it. On no other than the Remix Morning Show. Let's go.
I got big dreams with small hope in the big city. Make big cream or stay broke, but it's no pity. Where opportunity pass you quick as light flashes. I done seen mere belief burn to ashes. Had a small crew, we roll tight and we all move. Broke all rules, we saw life through a small view. Navigated these ghetto blocks without a German. Some of us so work, some of us work the honest earning. We all had dreams to make it, we all had a strategy. But gradually reality brought us down like gravity. Wanted the American dream, but never realized the dream was a scheme to just keep us trapped in airline. Crossing over concrete, slam dunking on crates. Now we slamming these bars, trying to save our race. Do it for the sisters, gotta do it for the brothers. Cause we know live in America, the system don't love us. Trying to intertwine and grind and keep my mind up on the cabbage. Still spit that mathematic, the civilized and savage. Cut from a different fabric, bred from a different breed. Product of my environment, not a product, is heat.
Born in the NOI, suit with that bow tie. You can find us in the hood, we don't just go by. Can't nobody stop us like we at the free throw line. Farrakhan, the leader, and Elijah gave the cosign. Left him sitting in his seat. When we in the street, this is our ministry. Try to save our people from their misery. Let's buy back the hood, unite against our common enemy. You don't believe in that, you ain't as real as you pretend to be. Huh? With supreme mathematics, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We about to teach the savage that we're trying to do is damage. But today we ain't gonna have it. We ain't gonna stop until his kingdom is
All right. That is no other than Danique and Ashay Karan. So that is them. Go check them out. They got some more bops and tunes up there, so check that out. And speaking of hip-hop news, since we are here, let's go ahead and talk about your boy. Let's talk about Diddy. Your man Diddy went ahead and gave publishing rights back to his artists on Bad Boys. He had a big deal that could have put a lot of money in his pocket for the catalog, but he said, nah, I don't want that deal. I want to go ahead and finally take care of the artists on Bad Boys and give them their publishing. So, you know, some people want to do what they got to do to get to these pearly gates, as they would say, at the end of their career. But anyway, big up to Mace, Faith, and all the other Bad Boy artists that got their publishing back. All right, with that said, let's go and get back to the Remix Morning crew. Let's go. Okay, you hit that button. There we go. Let's keep it thorough. Ha ha! Yeah.
Nah, Diddy already spent them people's money. Screw him.
Nah, Joe. Nah, Joe. I don't like how this is being framed as like, look at the benevolent Diddy. Diddy back. Like, all right, first of all, included in this is 112. I saw an interview with Slim, the lead singer for 112, yesterday on TMZ Live. He sounded like a nigga in jail. Like, he was like, I just want to thank Diddy and all of his genius. I said, nigga, Diddy ain't been paying you for 25 fucking years. And now you thanking him, you kissing his feet because he broke you off with a little pennies. And this is 25 years after the fact of y'all having big hits. And Biggie's estate is included in this. So I'm like, what was Biggie's people getting all this time? Nothing? Like nothing?
Yeah, I think that was BS.
Yeah. We got any entertainment publishing people with some expertise? I'd like to hear, because I'm telling Diddy is not doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Like I don't agree with I don't believe that for a second.
You don't think he's trying to get through the pearly gates with a conscience?
Straight to hell, you know that.
Satan had already sent him his RSVP.
Is this all of the artists or just like particular ones?
All
like
the artists on
got their stuff back. Like,
did we really consider Danity Kane the artist?
Oh
but,
yeah, two hit albums we do.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes. Yeah, that was playing with the millennials yesterday, especially that Smash Mouth comment. But
I don't know him. I don't know her.
I grew up on the WB teen dramas
Oh
So
wow.
that was my era, Smash Mouth and all them. So we were a little hurt. We did feel
What was
that.
his name, Ricky? What's his name? I don't even.
Steve, not Steve Carell, Steve something. I
Well,
forget.
I don't even know what happened to him. Why was he? Why'd he die? He was sick, right? Something
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, he was sick. They said 58, so he died young. He wasn't.
Damn.
Yeah, he
Well,
died young.
you know who he with.
Huh?
Up, man. I'm gonna smack you.
Because Black
Smack
Jesus
you.
welcomes everyone.
Hey, yeah, it is. All right, well, that's your break for the day. I'll catch y'all at the end with a mix, probably. Peace.
Peace. Thank
Oh,
you,
and
Ed
I didn't.
Doctor.
Yeah, the bars. The what did somebody in the chat say? Bean pie bars.
Who had
I
bean
liked
pie
it.
bars?
But I liked it. It was nice. It was
Oh,
nice. It was a
the
nice
grubs.
roll. It was nice. Yeah.
Somebody check Diallo though. Checking on him, make sure he good.
Yeah. Well, you know.
Y'all, come on in. Give the video a like, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. We banging in at more than 30K. Buck. Look at us coming up in these YouTube streets in the world. We appreciate y'all. We got Jackie Lukman, the real Black Erica Keynes. Ricky Ryan is in the building. Kim Brown, Ed Doctor. Folks, we got some more news that we want to talk to the people. Them. What's up, everybody? What's up, remixes? I see y'all out here.
I appreciate that ode to Little Kim.
I'm glad you
I've been
caught
saying
that.
for years. Yeah.
I'm glad you caught that. Yeah.
Yo, so Ricky, there is an event coming up
Yes.
that we need to highlight. Let me find it. Where it is. Where's the little graphic? Okay, here it is. I hope you can see it. So tell us what's going on with this.
Yes, tomorrow night I will be
Here it is.
one of the panelists for the Alliance for Global Justice Resistance Campaign. They have been doing a lot of work in terms of Palestine and raising the issues of Palestine. Alliance for Global Justice has also been receiving a lot of repression because of that. They've been losing, or a lot of their accounts have been frozen and things like that, but they do help in terms of, they do help in terms of funding a lot of delegations that we all go on. In terms of a lot of the delegations that we all go on. And one of the things that we're connecting with them doing is raising the issue of Cop City. Now, we had talked about this. This was a plan in works to specifically focus on Atlanta Cop City because this was before the announcement of Baltimore and all of that. But of course, that will be included. Of course, we will be raising the issue of the 61 indicted and next steps forward. But this is an event that we want to welcome people to come to because there are a lot of connections between Palestine and Cop City. If we look at it through a neo-colonial lens, if we look at it through a comprador lens, we can, and especially through occupation, right? We can see that there are a lot of things that connect between the two. And this will be also the first of many series between Black Alliance of Peace and the Alliance for Global Justice around these two issues, Cop City and Palestine and what's happening. So I do want to welcome everyone to come through. It is tomorrow night. So it's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern. That is the link to register. I don't know if you could scroll down. It's a link tree. I can also put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, put it in the chat because I'm having a difficult time.
Okay.
Scrolling down on my little picture here. Cool. Where'd she go?
She'll be back. She'll be back. So
cool.
So tomorrow or tonight in DC? Tomorrow in DC, she said.
It is tomorrow night. And
it's a webinar.
Yeah. It's a webinar.
In the chat.
Okay. Let me make sure I get this link tree thingy. There you go. I believe that's the link for you. Cool. That's fantastic. So somebody asked what's going on the continent. Well, I tell you what's going on the continent.
Ooh, tell us, please.
So this is one of many protests that have been happening in Niamey, Niger, outside of a French base. They have been out in front of this French base for 3 days in a row, and they're still ongoing. Nigerians, not to be confused with Nigerians, Nigerians are demanding that the French troops leave their country, and you probably can't read that. So let me, there we go. No,
Now,
I don't
Jackie,
want to-
does my eyes deceive me? Am I literally seeing hundreds of people? Likely thought. I mean, is it
Thousands.
thousands of people?
Thousands of people out there for 3 days and still out there. Stop that. Go away.
Shut down Babylon. Get them out of there.
So here are just some, pictures of folks out there. Oh, goodness gracious, these pop-ups. So what is happening now? President Emmanuel Macron of France has finally made a U-turn and has begun negotiations for the withdrawal of French troops from Niger with the Nigerian military government. This decision comes in response to the consecutive protests by thousands of Nigerians against the presence of French troops and the ambassador. So we'll see how it goes.
Is the French is the French ambassador still in Niger? They still let him stay?
Well, he's staying in that building with no power and water. But yeah. Additionally, a few U.S. planes have been observed leaving the country, although the reasons for their departures remain unclear at the time of writing this report. I'll take it for the win that it is. So there appears to be some movement on French troops leaving Niger. We will continue to watch and see what happens, see if they really do leave, and then what the people and the military transitional government that they support do if they don't leave. And as for Gabon, this is why we were very careful in how we talked about what was going on in Gabon compared to what happened in Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, and Niger, because in Gabon, the French government has received guarantees from the military transitional leaders that the French interests would not be threatened in the country. So what is going on in Gabon is not the same thing as what has been going on in the rest of West Africa. So we had a protest. We helped, or we, meaning the Black Alliance for Peace, and several other organizations here in Washington, D.C., African People's Socialist Party, Party for Socialism and Liberation, participated in and helped organize a protest with a group that organized themselves. They're a group of diasporic Africans who are from some of these West African countries and other countries, who organize themselves in response to what's going on in West Africa. And they came together, organized themselves as Africa United, reached out to us, asked us to be involved. We had the third protest of that group, that formation's demonstrations in front of the French embassy this past Saturday. And at the same time, that protest was happening in front of the French embassy. And I was just talking to somebody at that protest, and their husband was saying, and their husband is also African, and he was saying, I wish more people would be here. This is not enough people. And I said, yeah, that's true, but I don't want you to be discouraged by that, because look, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon, and you got to understand the class character of our people and the propagandization and our disconnection from the continent, and that's by design, and all of this kind of stuff. And then somebody else showed me the video of the protesters in Niamey, in Niger, and then I ran back to this person and I showed them and I said, see, it's okay if there are a few of us here, because we're backed up by these people. We're backed up. We're backing them up. But really, we've got a nation of thousands, millions backing us. So don't be discouraged. that it's just a few of us out here in front of the French embassy, because we're connected to these thousands of people in Niamey. So exciting times. But again,
It was disappointing to
see
hear about Gabon. To hear what the military transitional leaders are saying about the French interests not being threatened, but encouraging to see that massive amount of support out there in Niger. Now, I'm skeptical about Macron and the French, trying to negotiate an exit because, we know how that goes. Oh, well, within 5 years, we'll be, no, nigga. 30 days. Get y'all shit and get the fuck out. Like I'm hoping it's a quick transition that gets negotiated, because I feel as though if France is able to say, oh, we'll be out in a year, we'll be out in 2 years, that's just going to drag it on, give them an opportunity to, not to say that they needed to be there to create instability, but the longer that they are there, the more chances they have to continue to foment not only dissent, but confusion and all that. So I'm hoping that they will get out soon and not later.
Pardon me, ladies, real quick before you go ahead, Ricky. No, actually, go ahead, Ricky, and answer. We have a question from the chat room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to remark that I don't know if I would say disappointing with Gabon, the situation, but I do think that points us to analyzing these things as they are, adjusting to the class character. I think it's very easy for us to say the Sahel and not realize that these are individual states. And yes, there's federations that are looking to be formed, but all of these states have their own class character, have their own material conditions that drove the coup. And then they all also have a different mass base of people. So when we look at places like Burkina and Mali, they seem to be more sophisticated currently because they have a stronger mass base that are politically aligned with anti-imperialism than we would see in Niger. But Niger has a growing mass base of anti-imperialism. We can't say that we see that in Gabon as of yet, which I think dictates the direction that they would go. Even though Bongo did absolutely lose those elections, and the people are righteously upset about the way that he tried to keep into power. I think analyzing Gabon as its own state and the history of Gabon, and then even who the people who are the coup leaders are, the history that they have, is important because Guinea Conakry had their own coup that I think predates Mali and Burkina Faso, and you don't hear much about Guinea because Guinea has its own material conditions that are not like what we're seeing in Burkina and Mali. Chad had a coup as well.
Right.
And Chad's coup is very reactionary, very U.S. favored. So there's things that have been happening in that region that calls for actual investigation and introspection as opposed to like a wide sweeping, generalized thing from how we understand one or maybe two states. Because I think the question from the super chat was like, who just took back their gold reserves, which country? And that was Mali. Mali just did that. Mali as well kicked out the French. But when Mali kicked out the French and gave them you have to leave now, they deeper encroached into Niger. So they didn't leave the continent. So I guess that's, for me, that's also something that we have to consider. Where would the French go, right? If they have to leave right now at this moment, they're not leaving the continent. So where are they expanding to? Where are they going to encroach in? And then also with Gabon, I think there's less conversation about that coup because the U.S. is trying to play up the anti-French sentiments to their benefit. So it's not even that we have to look at what the French is doing in regards to not wanting to leave, but how the U.S. is reacting to it. Now, we also have to consider, just as there needs to be thousands outside of that base, there is a U.S. AFRICOM drone base in Niger, the second largest one in the world, not just the continent. And there's also a CIA base in Niger.
CIA base.
Right. So we have to think about what is the U.S. intending to do, especially when we think through Victoria Nuland's role in trying to squeeze them into some sort of position. But I say that to say there is a mass base that has a class character that is distinctly well, not distinctly, but moving towards concretely an anti-imperialist position that would have a different determination for these outcomes than if they weren't.
Very good point, Ricky. And thank you, Infinite Content, for the question that Ricky answered. Jackie didn't. One of the former French colonies nationalized their gold mines and kicked out foreign mining companies recently. Thank you, Infinite Content, for the $5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they kicked out the mining companies. I think it was Mali that it was Burkina Faso that they changed the contract between the mining companies and the government so that the government makes more money, receives a higher percentage of the proceeds of those contracts than the private companies did. And I don't know that they nationalized the mines. I have to check on that, but they absolutely did revoke those. There was also a double taxation clause where the country had to pay taxes on exported materials twice, and that was done away with. So all this extra money that these foreign mining corporations, the French and the French government was making off of the Burkinabe government, yeah, that's done away with. That was done. Mm-hmm. So the next, we are organizing for the next demonstration. I don't have the details yet, and I'm glad that Ricky brought up organizational security, because we've got to be tighter. And by we, I mean me too, because it's hard to keep track of sometimes what you're supposed to be telling people and what you should keep kind of under wraps until it's time to tell people when you literally talk for a living. But I will let y'all know when the next action will be. We're organizing that now, and I'll keep y'all in the loop about that. But like I said, we did have an action last Saturday here in Washington, D.C., and it will not be the last one. So stay tuned.
Big up to another super chat. We got another producer out here helping us out, y'all. Ooh. Derek. Ricky, if that is a Yeti mic, the pickup is in front where you can see the red light, not the top. Best pattern setting on the back is second from right. Look at that.
Huh. Interesting.
$4.99.
Oh, thank you so much.
Now Ricky might put the mic in front of her instead of to the side.
First of all.
Get them. I was gonna say something about mansplaining, but it seemed like he got it right. So I'm gonna shut up.
He was producer splaining. I mean, I have a Yeti too for at home. And you don't know these things. You just you don't know the best positions for the mic out in front, out top. Yeah, it's unless you're a sound engineer or producer, you really have no idea how these things work. You just want to plug it in and start talking.
I'm also not tech savvy, so I appreciate this stuff. I'm very Zoolander. Files are in the computerist, like. So I appreciate the breakdown. I like a 101.
Hey, yo, some fun news. Kim, did you have anything?
Nothing that I was trying to see if I could find a video to support. I just wanted to mention that this action happened yesterday in Virginia for Appalachians against pipelines. The Mountain Valley Pipeline, which has been authorized by the Biden administration, that is going to run through West Virginia down into Southern Virginia and the northern part of North Carolina. They are proceeding with building this new pipeline. And there was an action by a couple of these groups there where protesters chained themselves to some of the equipment. They have a lot of photos, but they don't have any video. But I just wanted to mention and acknowledge that this action is happening. These actions continue to happen. These are rural residents, you know what I'm saying, of Virginia, North Carolina, and West Virginia. They are fully aware of what this new pipeline construction not only means to the environment, but really it is a danger for women and girls in places where these pipelines are being constructed, because it just so happens that when these contractors come in, especially in indigenous and sometimes Black women and girls go missing. Nobody knows where they go. But this is, well, we know where they go, but this is a thing. And I continue to appreciate the folks that are standing in support of environmental justice. Obviously, the Stop Cop City is an environmental justice issue in part. But the Biden administration continues to further exacerbate the climate catastrophe that the whole world is experiencing. The U.S. has seen a lot of climate disaster just this summer alone, and extreme climate conditions. So just a reminder, y'all favorites, Paw Joe Biden said he's gonna be gone off this planet in 10 years. He don't give a fuck if there's more pipelines, more carbon emissions. He don't give a shit. He ain't gonna be here. But the Bidens, Hunter, and his progeny are going to be collecting them checks from the Mountain Valley Pipeline. So I just want to shout out to the folks that were still doing that. Shout out to Appalachians Against Pipelines and other related groups.
Yeah, and shout out to the folks in the chat bringing up man camps and their connection to murdered and missing indigenous women. This whole country is a damn man camp. That's just the whole damn thing. These people, fucking settlers. Anyway, thanks for that update. And again, this is we gotta connect. We gotta connect with our, with our people, with working class and poor folks in places like Appalachia, fighting against the same stuff that affects us all. These people have been fighting. These people have been fighting these pipelines for years, and we have got to be in solidarity with them because it affects us too. The state takes their land, right? They impose eminent domain to take people's land to build these pipelines, and then don't compensate folks or do anything when the pipelines inevitably spill, because they all do, and contaminate that affects all of us. So a lot we can be in solidarity with.
You cannot clean oil. You can't clean oil out the water. You know what I mean? Like what once it's contaminated, it's done. And it's a cascading effect on the ecosystem, not just affecting humans. You know what I'm saying? Like we got to give a fuck about more than just humans out here, right? So, none of us are free until all of us are free. That includes the animal kingdom as well. So, yeah.
On an international front, though, I guess geopolitically, the new pivot to Asia that has Japan and South Korea and I guess the Philippines is involved, and Australia too. Now Japan is like releasing stuff into the water.
Radioactive
waste, waste into the water. So that's an issue that people, I guess, even environmentally, I think for me, what I would like to see is all of these things sort of come together: the labor movement, the environmental movement, through an umbrella of anti-imperialism. I think that's one of the really missed marks that I guess in all of our attempts to organize these groups have come under. I think one of the things I always note is that, what would it mean to support railroad workers who then could stop those pieces of drones from being shipped to wherever they're going? What does that look like? Or even supporting the writers' strike under the condition that they stop allowing the DOD to double check everything that they write. If we make those demands on workers, what would that look like? Because I think the issue about water and then ignoring the geopolitical shift that's happening in terms of what the U.S. is trying to do to combat China by grouping all of these other Asian nations together. And now you're seeing the issue with nuclear waste and having no place to put it, and the detriment not just to Asia, but all of us, because water doesn't just flow in one direction.
It is.
Right. And that not being something that's like prioritized in the conversation, I think it's a very, very missed mark in terms of how we discuss these things or how we even organize around them.
Exactly. And this is something we always talk about. We I don't know what you want to call us, radical organizers, Black radical organizers, whatever. This is something we always talk about. All of these things are connected. Imperialism is not just militaristic oppression. It is all of this, it is the exploitation of the entire society and all of the people in it in so many ways, all for capitalist profit. But it is not just militarism. So we have to bring in environmentalism. We have to bring in education. We have to bring in housing. We have to bring in food sovereignty. We've got to bring in all of these seemingly disparate issues and understand their context under the umbrella of imperialism and how they affect all of us all at the same time, because the people who are imposing the oppression, they're doing it all at the same time. If when you understand the class character of the Japanese government, and these are the descendants of the fascists from World War II, it's the same damn family. Same damn family. What they're doing in Fukushima begins to look a little different, other than just a government or an energy company, not considering the ramifications. They know, and they don't care, because that's their class character. They're a bunch of fascists, and because it's just in their capitalist interest to do it. They don't want to spend the money to properly research and properly store this material. So they just, release it to the ocean, and who cares what happens next?
But don't they eat tuna out the ocean? Don't y'all eat the same fucking tuna out
No,
the goddamn
they
ocean?
can always get some tuna from somewhere else. You feel me? Because these are the wealthy, these people who are doing this. They you know what they did? They had an Obama Flint moment. They did. The government officials in Japan, and I think some officials from the I think it was the Tokyo Energy Company. I can't remember the name of the company, but the major energy company that is like in control of Fukushima. They had a press conference where they sat down to eat, and they were supposed to be eating seafood from the ocean. You know damn well that seafood did not come from. You know damn well that.
Oh wait, didn't Joe Biden drink some water from somewhere? Who went to was it Alabama? Where was it? Somebody in recent months in this year has drank water from some place that allegedly, not allegedly, but where the water was fucked up. Where ain't no alleged, the water was definitely fucked up.
I mean, where? Jackson, Baltimore.
Right. I'm trying to remember where it was. But it's like, why did Obama create this genre of political stunt? Like, who asked for this? Like,
sir, you
don't bathe in this water in the White House or on your Martha's Vineyard compound. So who we fooling here?
Yeah. I think it's a mess. It's all political theater. I mean, in most instances, I appreciate it, because you were talking about Westmore, and he doesn't have any kind of personality. So he doesn't even razzle dazzle us. He gives us nothing. At least Obama gave us like a little
excellence.
swag.
He gives us light skin excellence.
A little bit of Al Green.
Yeah, it's very mechanical. So they're gonna like try to swindle. At least
make it look good.
Right. They're not even trying.
Put a little swagger on it, damn.
But that's what kills me though. The little to nothing that Westmore is giving seems to be enough for a lot of folks. Like, they are just so enamored at the presentation, the representation of this first black and the first black and the first black. I'm like, oh, he is as terrible as the 60 previous whites. Who cares if he's the first black? I don't care. What is he doing? Nothing. Has he even said shit about this Cop City proposal? Nope. And he ain't gonna have nothing to say about it, because basically, as an Afghan veteran, nigga, you the police also. You are the police.
Yep. But you know whose swagger is absolutely real and legit though?
Who?
Dear doctor.
Oh man, these transitions. Listen, Jackie, you might be winning an award, or I'm just saying.
See? Looking looking like Westmore cousin over there.
Oh,
Oh,
nah, that's Styles P. That ain't me. Listen, Jackie, I know you gotta go. Thank you, y'all were great today. This Ladies First Wednesday is
Hey, thank you.
the highlight of the week. I'm just saying. So we were gonna catch you tomorrow. We gonna catch you tomorrow.
Yep, I'll be on tomorrow.
Dope.
all
Dope.
right.
All right. Well, I guess I could do a little news with y'all, ladies. All right. So I was thinking, since we talking North Carolina and we talking about Republicans and different people not doing what they supposed to do, I was thinking I seen one of the topics of this one governor. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me show y'all how I do the news.
Yeah, show us
I'm
how you
saying,
do it. I'm
You know what I'm saying?
right?
Let me put
Suspense.
y'all on. Let me put y'all on to something.
I'm on the edge of my seat for this news.
All right, so North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. This guy is out here. He's recently came out and told the teachers that they are wicked people. That's right. For teaching how they doing. He's saying pretty much the schools are in bad condition. He said, we're going to work like heck in Raleigh to make sure these schools are getting straightened out. But until they do, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. If they don't do right, you need to come out from among them. Make your own school, Robinson said in his July speech. Do not turn your children over to these wicked people, calling the teachers wicked people for a school system that's already messed up. Now, is that dirty or what?
What is this? What prompted these comments? Is there
Right,
some
I was
sort
gonna
of
ask you
policy? Like what? How do we get here?
Well,
How do we get to this?
I sent the story for y'all, but y'all didn't get
Send it
to
to who?
in your email that you didn't read.
Email. What? I
Never
don't read
mind.
email. Nigga. I don't
So
read
yeah, that's what's going on in North Carolina.
No,
Right
it's
there.
not what's going on. There's more going on here, doctor. You are omitting, I believe, some key details from this story.
Put that story back up. I was reading.
Okay, we was gonna give you our tease and then talk about it tomorrow. That's what we was doing. Oh, no?
Let's get to it. Let us
All right,
get
so
to it.
let Ricky read, because what were you saying, Ricky?
No, I was trying to find the context because, especially with Republicans, I don't know if this is a situation where he's calling for people to remove their kids because he doesn't agree with the curriculum, or if he's noting the actual truth that public schools are not doing what they should be doing, or is this a call for charters? Like, I don't really know what the context is to really, pinpoint which direction I want to discuss this. But I will say, without context, I don't entirely disagree that we should be looking for other ways and avenues to teach our children. I know for me personally, my son goes to elementary school. He's in a public school, but he's also has separately every Saturday, he goes to an African school where he's able to learn things that he wouldn't learn in school, like about Kwame Nkrumah and things like that, or even naming the 54 African nations. But he does go to a public school. So on its face, I don't disagree with needing to pull out, but I'm also wary because the conversation that has been occurring has been about the curriculum and what the curriculum that it really doesn't do what people are alleging in terms of Black history. But it has been an alarm for critical race theory and Black history being pulled out of schools and our children learning particular histories that people feel they shouldn't. So I don't know if that's what the cause of alarm is, but
I just didn't like the fact me having both parents being teachers and stuff like that. He's calling teachers wicked people.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is running for what, president?
Is he running?
It said gubernatorial governor running for something in 2024.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm like, dude, wicked people. This is a old ass curriculum that's been not updated or nothing, and you calling the teachers wicked? Please.
Right.
Well, and it's incredible to me which public servants get demonized by the right and which don't. You know what I mean? Teachers are always there on the front lines for especially conservatives to, target them at, inadequate, trying to radicalize whatever, but they don't have shit to say about the cops. They don't have shit to say about the cops, even Law and Order. I know January 6th made so many of these conservatives' head explode, right? Because, they want to stand for law and order. They claim to stand for law and order. and then they saw the police getting their ass whipped by, they Uncle Bucky and them, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I was here for that on January 6th. But I mean, to these lieutenant governor's comments, like in Virginia, for example, like the governor Youngkin there and the Commonwealth attorney Miarez are trying to basically get and encourage parents to sue some of these school systems over the new transgender policy, or schools not adhering to the transgender policy, where children, according to Youngkin, is like children have to make their parents aware of their of their preferred pronouns, or parents have to sign off on different pronouns if they differ from the child's assigned gender at birth. And a lot of school systems, particularly in Northern Virginia, are not adhering to that. So you're hearing the calls from the Commonwealth attorney, if any parents want to, bring a lawsuit, we would stand behind, like, there y'all go. Just
right.
Further attacking the school systems, attacking the teachers and those who, are there to help the kids, I would imagine. And by extension, attacking the LGBTQ community too.
Right. Yeah. And then also as a former teacher, it really is it's really administration. And I think what people have done or become used to doing is like pitting teachers and parents against each other so that the administration never ever gets dealt with. But administration really is a large part of the problem, because in most parts they have never taught. So they're like passing out rules and how you should engage children coming from a place of having never been in a classroom. And then there, a lot of micro, like too much over your shouldering, and then a lot of reprimanding, a lot, and so it's really like teachers can never do right in most instances, and that's a lot of why you see a lot of teachers leaving the field, because it's really nothing to do with the children or the parents. My mom always says, if it wasn't for parents, we wouldn't have a job, as teachers. So we need to establish relationships with parents, but administration makes that so difficult.
Yeah, if you do have the opportunity. So this was pretty much a big shout out to all the teachers out there working hard. Y'all are not wicked people. Thank you for your contribution and doing what you can do within the circumstances. So big up to all the teachers out there. And if we can take them to other schools, African Center schools, or even if we could take them to an after school program that teaches them certain things and still allow them to get that other, social interaction within the other students and stuff like that. Because sometimes some of these homeschool kids don't know how to interact with people once they get out. Let's keep it 100.
Well, maybe some of the folks, if you know of or operate any sort of after school care that gives some African centered education or tutelage or weekends, schooling like Ricky was talking about, let us know. Tell us where it's at. I think people would be interested in it, but they may not even be aware that it exists.
Facts. So what I'll do is I'll come up with a list from the ones I know in Atlanta, like Quilombo, TSK, different African Center schools, and let y'all know about the ones here. Y'all let me know about the ones in the DMV area, and we're going to make this happen, y'all. This is what we're here for. This is the Remix Morning Show, as we come together as a community to talk about things, listen, learn, get an understanding and an overstanding of all. And with that said, we're going to get up out of here with a mix and come back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Yes.
Anything for me, the ladies, before we get out of here?
No, have a great week.
There it is. Let's go.
East Africans.
Let's go. Peace. Thank y'all for tuning in. We see y'all in the morning.